The airplane cabin hummed with the low drone of engines. But for Ezra and Elias Carter, the world felt silent, their hearts pounding in sync. At 18, the identical twins sat side by side in first class, their hands brushing as they shared a nervous glance. They were heading to San Francisco, a city they dreamed of as a beacon of freedom, but a single moment was about to unravel their fragile courage. "Excuse me, boys," a flight attendant said, her voice clipped but polite. "We need you to move to economy. This seat's been reassigned to Mr. Langston, the CEO of Horizon Tech." Her eyes flicked to a man in a tailored suit, his expression impatient as he loomed behind her. Ezra's grip tightened on the armrest. Elias, always the bolder twin, leaned forward. "We paid for these seats. Our mom booked them for us." The attendant's smile didn't waver, but it was cold. "I understand, but Mr. Langston's assistant made a special request. You'll be compensated." Her tone implied the matter was settled. The twins exchanged a look, their identical hazel eyes mirroring defiance. They weren't just seats. They were a gift from their mother, Lila, who'd saved for months to give them this trip. A trip to celebrate their coming out, their first taste of a world where they could be themselves. Moving now felt like surrendering more than just legroom. "Compensated." Elias's voice rose, sharp enough to turn heads. "This isn't about money. It's about fairness." Mr. Langston stepped forward, his presence commanding. Mid-40s, with salt and pepper hair and a jawline that screamed authority. He spoke in a low, measured tone. "I'm sure you're upset, but I have a critical meeting in San Francisco. You'll be fine in economy." Ezra's stomach twisted. He hated confrontation, but Elias's fire was contagious. "No," Ezra said, surprising himself. "We're not moving." The cabin grew quieter, passengers craning to watch. The attendant's smile faltered. "Please, don't make this difficult." Elias reached into his backpack, pulling out a small, worn card their mother had given them before they left their small Ohio town. "Call this number," he said, handing it to the attendant. "It's our mom's. She'll explain why we're not moving." The attendant hesitated, then took the card, her lips pursing. She stepped away to make the call, leaving the twins under Langston's scrutinizing gaze. "You're young," he said, almost amused. "You'll learn the world doesn't bend for stubbornness." Ezra's heart raced, but he met Langston's eyes. "Maybe it should." Lila Carter's voice crackled through the attendant's phone, calm but unyielding. She was a single mother, a nurse who'd raised her boys with fierce love in a town that often whispered about their closeness. The card she'd given them wasn't just a contact. It was her hospital's legal counsel, a friend who'd promised to back her sons if anyone challenged their rights. The attendant returned, her face pale. "You can stay," she said curtly, handing the card back. Langston's brow furrowed, but he said nothing, taking an economy seat instead. Whispers rippled through the cabin, some approving, others judgmental. As the plane took off, Elias leaned closer to Ezra, their shoulders touching. "Mom's our superhero," he whispered, a grin breaking through his tension. Ezra nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. He'd always been the quieter twin, the one who overthought every glance, every word. Coming out in Ohio had been a battle, classmates' sneers, teachers' awkward silences. This trip was supposed to be their escape, a chance to explore who they were without fear. But already the world was testing them. In San Francisco, they checked into a small hotel in the Castro district, its rainbow flags fluttering like promises. The city buzzed with life, street performers, couples holding hands, murals splashed across brick walls. For the first time, Ezra felt like he could breathe. That evening, they wandered into a park, the air thick with the scent of eucalyptus. Elias, ever impulsive, grabbed Ezra's hand and pulled him toward a fountain. "Dance with me," he said, laughing. Ezra blushed. "People are watching. Let them." Elias's eyes sparkled, and Ezra couldn't resist. They spun in the fading light, clumsy but joyful, their laughter drawing smiles from passers-by. It was the kind of moment they dreamed of, free, unjudged, alive. But freedom came with shadows. At a nearby cafe, they met Jamie, a 20-year-old non-binary barista with a shaved head and a warm smile. Jamie recognized the twins' wide-eyed wonder, having moved to San Francisco to escape their own conservative hometown. "You two are adorable," Jamie said, sliding them free lattes. "But be careful. This city's accepting, but not everyone's on board." Ezra frowned. "What do you mean?" Jamie leaned in, voice low. "There's been some pushback lately, protests, flyers, people saying the Castro's too loud about pride. Just keep your eyes open." Elias shrugged it off, but Ezra felt a familiar knot in his chest. That night, in their hotel room, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. "What if we're not ready for this?" he whispered. Elias rolled over, propping himself on an elbow. "We're ready. We've got each other, easy. Always." The next morning, the twins explored the city, their excitement tempered by Jamie's warning. They visited a bookstore filled with queer literature, its shelves a testament to stories like theirs. Ezra lingered over a novel about two boys finding love against all odds, his fingers tracing the cover. Elias, meanwhile, chatted with the owner, a 60-year-old trans woman named Marla, who shared stories of the city's history, riots, resilience, love. "You're part of this now," Marla said, her eyes crinkling. "Your story matters." Inspired, the twins joined a youth meetup at a community center. There, they met Diego, a 19-year-old gay artist with a quick laugh and paint-stained hands. Diego invited them to an art show that evening, promising a night of creativity and connection. The show was in a warehouse, its walls alive with vibrant canvases. Diego's work stood out, bold portraits of queer couples, their faces radiant with defiance and love. Ezra felt drawn to one painting of two boys embracing under a stormy sky, their hands intertwined. "That's us," he whispered to Elias. Diego overheard and grinned. "You two are something special. I can tell." As the night wore on, the twins felt a spark with Diego, his energy pulling them into a dance of laughter and shared stories. But the joy was cut short when a group of protesters gathered outside, their signs crude and hateful. "Keep the Castro straight," one shouted, his voice carrying through the open windows. Elias tensed, but Diego placed a hand on his shoulder. "Ignore them. They're loud, but they're few." Ezra wasn't so sure. The protesters' words echoed the taunts from Ohio, and he felt exposed, like the world was watching, judging. He grabbed Elias's hand, needing an anchor. Diego noticed. "You okay?" he asked softly. Ezra nodded, but his eyes betrayed him. Diego led them to a quieter corner, away from the noise. "This city's fought worse," he said. "You're stronger than you think." That night, back at the hotel, Elias was quiet, his usual bravado dimmed. "I hate that they can still make us feel small," he admitted. Ezra pulled him close. "We're not small. We're here and we're together." The next day, the twins decided to confront their fears. They joined a pride march, their first, carrying a small rainbow flag Marla had given them. The streets were a riot of color. Drag queens, families, allies, all chanting for love and equality. Ezra felt his heart swell, but the sight of counter-protesters on a corner made him falter. Elias squeezed his hand. "We're not hiding anymore." They marched on, their voices joining the crowds. Diego found them, his face painted with glitter. "You made it!" he shouted, pulling them into a group hug. For a moment, the world felt right. But tension lingered. At a rally afterward, a speaker mentioned Horizon Tech CEO, Langston, who'd recently funded a group opposing Pride events. The twins froze, the memory of the airplane encounter flooding back. "That's him," Elias whispered, his voice tight. Ezra's mind raced. Langston wasn't just a rude passenger. He was part of the resistance Jamie had warned about. The realization hit hard. Their fight wasn't just personal. It was part of a bigger battle. That evening, they called Lila, pouring out their fears and triumphs. Her voice was steady, grounding. "You're my brave boys," she said. "Don't let anyone dim your light." Inspired, Elias had an idea. "We need to do something," he said. "Something big." Ezra raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Elias grinned, a spark of his old fire returning. "We're going to show Langston, and everyone, what love looks like." Their plan took shape over the next day. With Diego and Jamie's help, they organized a flash mob in the Castro, a celebration of queer love to counter the hate. They recruited artists, dancers, and musicians from the community center, each bringing their own story of resilience. The day of the event, the twins stood in the park, nervous but determined. Diego painted their faces with rainbow colors, his touch lingering on Elias's cheek. "You're changing things," he said, his eyes warm. As the music started, dozens of people joined in, dancing and singing under the San Francisco sky. Ezra and Elias led the way, their hands clasped, their smiles defiant. Passers-by stopped, some joining, others filming. The carved plaque on the bench, "Love Rewrites Rules," seemed to glow in the sunlight. Halfway through, Langston appeared, his suit out of place among the vibrant crowd. He watched, his expression unreadable. Elias noticed and pulled Ezra closer, their dance a silent challenge. When the music stopped, the crowd cheered, and Langston approached. "You've got guts," he said, his voice softer than before. "I underestimated you." Ezra found his voice. "This isn't just about us. It's about everyone who's been told they don't belong." Langston nodded, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "Maybe I've got some things to learn." As he walked away, the twins felt a weight lift. They didn't know if Langston would change, but they'd made their mark. The crowd surrounded them, their love a shield against the world. That night, Ezra and Elias sat by the fountain, their hands intertwined. "We did it," Elias whispered. Ezra smiled, his heart full. "Yeah, and we're just getting started." Their story wasn't over. It was a beginning, a testament to love's power to rewrite the rules. In San Francisco, under a sky painted with stars, they knew they'd found their place, together. The morning after the flash mob, Ezra and Elias woke to a flood of notifications. Videos of their event had gone viral on social media, with hashtags like Love Rewrites Rules trending across platforms. Strangers left comments praising their courage, while others shared their own stories of standing up to prejudice. But not all the feedback was kind. Trolls spewed venom, and a local news outlet ran a piece questioning whether the Castro was pushing its agenda too far. Elias scrolled through the comments, his jaw tight. "They don't get it, Easy. This wasn't just a party. It was a statement." Ezra, sitting cross-legged on the hotel bed, nodded. "But we reached people. That's what matters." He paused, his fingers tracing the edge of his phone. "Do you think Langston saw it?" Elias snorted. "If he didn't, he's living under a rock." Their moment of triumph was interrupted by a knock at the door. It was Jamie, their barista friend, holding a tray of coffees. "You two are famous," they said, grinning. "But heads up, there's a counter-protest planned downtown today." Same group as before, but bigger. Ezra's stomach dropped. What do they want? Jamie sighed, sitting on the edge of the bed. Same old nonsense, traditional values, protecting the city. They're targeting the community center, saying it's indoctrinating youth. Elias's eyes flashed. They're not shutting us down. Not after yesterday. Jamie raised an eyebrow. You planning another stunt? Ezra glanced at Elias, recognizing the glint in his twin's eyes. Maybe, Elias said, a slow grin spreading. But this time we're going bigger. At the community center, the twins found Marla organizing a defense. Volunteers were making signs, coordinating with local police, and spreading the word to rally support. Marla pulled them aside, her expression serious. You two stirred something up. That's good, but it's also dangerous. These protesters, they're not just loudmouths. Some have money, connections. Like Langston? Ezra asked quietly. Marla nodded. His company's been linked to their funding. Nothing direct, but whispers. Be careful. Diego joined them, his sketchbook tucked under his arm. I've got an idea, he said, flipping it open to reveal a drawing of a massive mural. A collage of queer faces, hands linked, with the words, "We belong," in bold letters. We paint this on the community center's wall. Tonight, before the protest. Ezra's eyes widened. That's bold. Elias clapped Diego on the shoulder. It's perfect. They spent the day gathering supplies. Cans of paint, brushes, ladders. Word spread, and by evening, a small army of volunteers had gathered. The twins worked side by side with Diego, their hands stained with color as they brought his vision to life. Ezra painted a pair of clasped hands, their fingers mirroring his and Elias's. Diego caught him staring and smiled. You're a natural, he said, his voice soft. As midnight approached, the mural was nearly complete. The wall glowed under the streetlights, a beacon of defiance. But then, headlights swept across the lot. A group of protesters had arrived early, their signs already raised, their voices sharp with anger. Stop this now, a man shouted, his face red. You're defacing public property. Marla stepped forward, unflinching. This is our property, and we're protecting it. The situation escalated as more protesters arrived, some shoving volunteers. Elias instinctively stepped in front of Ezra, his fists clenched. Diego grabbed his arm. Don't. They want to fight. But the tension broke when a police car pulled up, lights flashing. The protesters backed off, grumbling, as an officer spoke with Marla. The twins exchanged a glance, relief but also fear. This wasn't over. The next morning, the mural stood proud, untouched by the protesters' threats. The community center buzzed with supporters, many inspired by the twins' flash mob. Ezra and Elias joined a strategy meeting, where Marla outlined plans for a peaceful counter-demonstration. We show up, we stand tall, and we don't let them silence us, she said. Ezra felt a surge of pride but also doubt. What if it gets violent? Marla's eyes softened. We've faced worse, sweetheart, and we've got each other. As the meeting ended, Diego pulled the twins aside. I'm proud of you, he said, his voice catching. You're not just fighting for yourselves. You're fighting for all of us. Elias grinned, but Ezra noticed the way Diego's gaze lingered on his twin. A pang of something, jealousy maybe, tugged at him. He pushed it down, focusing on the task ahead. The counter-demonstration was massive, with hundreds filling the streets. The twins marched with Diego and Jamie, their rainbow flag raised high. Across the street, the protesters chanted, their signs uglier than before. Ezra's heart raced, but Elias's hand in his kept him grounded. Then, a familiar figure appeared among the protesters, Langston. He wasn't holding a sign, but his presence felt like a betrayal. Elias's face hardened. "He's here to gloat," he muttered. Ezra shook his head. "Or maybe he's watching. Maybe he's thinking." The standoff continued, tense but peaceful, until a young girl from the community center stepped forward, holding a megaphone. "My name is Sarah," she said, her voice trembling but clear. "I'm 13, and I'm trans. This center saved my life. Please, let us live." Her words hung in the air, silencing both sides. Ezra felt tears prick his eyes. Elias squeezed his hand tighter. Even Langston seemed to pause, his expression unreadable. That night, the twins collapsed in their hotel room, exhausted but alive with purpose. Diego texted them a photo of the mural now trending online. "You started something," he wrote. Ezra smiled, but his thoughts drifted to Langston. What was he thinking? Could someone like him change? The next day, the twins received an unexpected email from Horizon Tech's PR team, inviting them to a meeting with Langston. "He wants to discuss your recent actions," it read. "No media, just a conversation." Elias was skeptical. "It's a trap. He's covering his ass." Ezra wasn't so sure. What if it's a chance to make him see us? They debated but decided to go with Marla and Diego as backup. The meeting was set in a sleek office downtown, all glass and steel. Langston greeted them alone, his demeanor less cold than before. "You've made waves," he said, gesturing to a tablet showing their mural. "Not many kids your age could do that." "We're not kids," Elias snapped, "and we're not here for compliments." Langston leaned back, studying them. "Fair enough. I'm here to understand. Why this fight? Why now?" Ezra took a breath, his voice steady despite his nerves. "Because we've spent our lives hiding. In Ohio, people like us get bullied, ignored, or worse. This city, this community, it's our chance to be seen. To be real." Langston listened, his face impassive. Then he said something unexpected. "I grew up in a place like that. Small town, no room for difference. I thought success meant leaving it behind, but maybe I was wrong." Elias scoffed. "So why fund those protesters?" Langston's jaw tightened. "I didn't. My company made donations to a broad community values group. I didn't know their full agenda until recently." The twins exchanged a glance. Was he telling the truth? Marla spoke up, her voice calm but firm. "Then prove it. Pull your funding. Support the center." Langston nodded slowly. "I'll look into it, but I need time." As they left, Ezra felt a flicker of hope, but Elias was unconvinced. "Words are cheap," he said. "Let's see what he does." Back in the Castro, the twins threw themselves into community work, helping Marla organize a fundraiser for the center. They painted, planned, and laughed with Diego and Jamie, their bond growing stronger. One evening, as they hung fairy lights for the event, Diego pulled Elias aside, his expression shy. "Can I ask you something?" Ezra watched from a distance, his heart twisting. He wanted his brother to be happy, but the thought of Elias pulling away hurt more than he'd expected. The fundraiser was a success, with music, food, and stories filling the night. Ezra and Elias shared their own, standing together on a small stage. "We came here looking for freedom," Ezra said, his voice carrying, "and we found it. Not just in this city, but in each other." The crowd cheered, and Diego hugged them both, his eyes shining. But as the night ended, a news alert pinged on their phones. Horizon Tech had withdrawn its funding from the Community Values Group, redirecting it to the community center. Elias stared at the screen, stunned. He actually did it. Ezra smiled. Maybe people can change. Their trip was ending, but their story was just beginning. As they packed, Elias turned to Ezra. "We're coming back, right? Ezra nodded, his heart full. Always. The final days in San Francisco felt like a dream the twins didn't want to wake from. The city had wrapped them in its vibrant embrace, but the weight of returning to Ohio loomed. Ezra and Elias spent their mornings wandering the Castro, soaking in every moment. The laughter of drag queens at brunch, the murals that seemed to whisper courage, the couples who walked hand in hand without fear. Yet, beneath their joy, a question lingered. Could they carry this freedom home? One afternoon, they sat with Jamie at the cafe, sipping iced coffee as the sun streamed through the windows. Jamie, their shaved head catching the light, leaned forward. "You two have changed since you got here," they said. "You're not just tourists anymore. You're part of this place." Elias grinned, but Ezra's smile was softer, tinged with worry. "What happens when we go back? Ohio's not like this." Jamie's expression turned serious. "You take what you've learned here, your strength, your voice, and you make it yours wherever you are." That evening, Diego invited them to his studio, a cramped loft filled with canvases and the sharp scent of paint. He was working on a new piece, inspired by the flash mob, a swirling mix of colors capturing the twins dancing in the park. "This is for you," he said, his eyes meeting Elias's with a warmth that made Ezra's chest tighten. "It's incredible," Elias said, his voice soft. Ezra nodded, but he felt a distance growing, not between him and Elias, but between himself and the easy connection Elias shared with Diego. He loved his twins' happiness, but it stirred a quiet ache. Was there room for someone else in their bond? As they left the studio, Elias nudged Ezra. "You okay? You've been quiet." Ezra hesitated, then forced a smile. "Just thinking about home." Elias's eyes searched his, seeing through the lie. "We'll figure it out, Easy. Together." The next day, the twins volunteered at the community center, helping Marla prepare for a youth workshop. The room buzzed with teens, some out, some questioning, all seeking a safe space. Ezra found himself talking to a shy 15-year-old named Riley, who reminded him of himself, nervous, uncertain, but yearning to belong. "How do you know you're enough?" Riley asked, their voice barely a whisper. Ezra thought of the airplane, the protesters, the flash mob. "You find people who see you," he said, "and you hold on to them." Across the room, Elias was laughing with Diego, their heads bent close as they painted signs for the next rally. Ezra watched, his heart a mix of love and fear. He wanted Elias to soar, but what if their paths diverged? That night, they joined a bonfire on Ocean Beach, organized by the community center. The flames crackled against the roar of the Pacific, and the group shared stories of struggle and triumph. Marla spoke of the 1980s, when friends were lost to AIDS and hate, but love kept them fighting. Diego shared his journey from a small Texas town, where he'd hidden his art and his heart until he found San Francisco. When it was their turn, Elias stood, pulling Ezra up with him. "We came here scared," Elias said, his voice steady. "But this city, these people, you've shown us we're not alone. We're going home stronger." The group cheered, and Diego's eyes shone with pride. As they sat back down, Diego leaned close to Elias, whispering something that made him laugh. Ezra stared into the fire, his thoughts swirling. He was happy for Elias, but the ache grew sharper. The next morning, a news report shook them. The Community Values Group, despite losing Horizon Tech's funding, had filed a lawsuit against the community center, claiming it violated city codes. Marla was unfazed, but the twins saw the worry in her eyes. "They're desperate," she said, "but we've got lawyers and we've got truth." Elias was furious. "This is Langston's fault. He didn't do enough." Ezra wasn't so sure. "He pulled the funding. That's something." They decided to confront Langston again, this time at a public Q&A hosted by Horizon Tech. The event was packed, with reporters and tech enthusiasts filling the room. Langston stood at a podium, fielding questions about innovation and ethics. When the mic came to Elias, he didn't hold back. "Mr. Langston, your company funded hate groups. How do you justify that?" The room went silent. Langston's face tightened, but he didn't flinch. "We made a mistake," he said. "We've cut ties and redirected funds to inclusive causes, including the Castro Community Center. I'm learning, slowly, maybe, but I'm listening." Ezra stood, his voice quieter but firm. "Learning's not enough if people get hurt. What are you doing to make things right?" Langston met his gaze. "We're auditing our partnerships and launching a diversity initiative. It's a start." The twins left the Q&A unsure if Langston's promises were genuine, but the crowd's applause felt like a small victory. Back at the hotel, Elias paced. "He's just saving face." "Maybe," Ezra said, "but maybe he's trying. People can change, right?" Elias stopped, looking at his twin. "You always see the best in people." Ezra shrugged. "Someone has to." Their final day in San Francisco was bittersweet. They spent it with Diego and Jamie, exploring Golden Gate Park. Diego and Elias walked ahead, their laughter carrying on the breeze. Jamie noticed Ezra's quiet mood and nudged him. "You're worried about losing him, aren't you?" Ezra's cheeks flushed. "Is it that obvious?" Jamie smiled. "You two are like one soul in two bodies. But love doesn't split you apart. It makes room." Ezra nodded, but the words didn't fully ease his fear. That evening, at a farewell dinner hosted by Marla, the community center surprised the twins with a gift, a small painting of their flash mob, signed by everyone. Marla hugged them tight. "You've left a mark on this place," she said. "Don't forget that." As they said goodbye to Diego, he pulled them both into a hug. "You're always welcome here," he said, his eyes lingering on Elias. Ezra smiled, pushing down his unease. On their last night, the twins sat on their hotel balcony, the city sparkling below. Elias took Ezra's hand. "I know you're scared," he said. "Me too. But we're not just twins, we're unstoppable." Ezra laughed, tears in his eyes. "Promise we'll always have this?" "Always," Elias said, pulling him close. As they boarded their flight home, the twins carried more than memories. They carried courage, love, and a promise to keep fighting. San Francisco had changed them, and they knew they'd change Ohio too, one step at a time. Back in Ohio, the air felt heavier, the small town of Millfield closing around Ezra and Elias like a fist. Their house, a modest ranch-style home, was filled with Lila's warmth, but the streets outside carried the same old whispers. The twins unpacked their bags, but their hearts were still in San Francisco, tangled in the freedom they'd tasted. Lila noticed their quiet intensity over dinner. "You boys seem different," she said, her eyes searching. "Stronger." Elias grinned, passing her a plate of roasted vegetables. "We learned a lot, Mom, about fighting for what's right." Ezra nodded, but his thoughts were on the community center's lawsuit. They'd promised Marla they'd help from afar, but Millfield felt worlds away from the Castros' vibrant defiance. "What if we can't make a difference here?" he asked. Lila reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "You already are. You're my boys, and you're enough." Her words carried them through the next days, but school was a harsh reality check. Classmates who'd once ignored their closeness now stared, some with curiosity, others with disdain. A rumor had spread. Someone had seen their flash mob video online, and the gay twins were now a topic. Elias brushed it off, but Ezra felt every glance like a weight. One afternoon, their history teacher, Mr. Grayson, pulled them aside after class. He was in his 50s, stern but fair, and had never commented on their personal lives. "I saw what you did in San Francisco," he said, his voice low. It took guts, but be careful. This town's not ready for that. Elias's eyes narrowed. Maybe it needs to be. Grayson sighed. Just watch your backs. The twins decided to act. They started a queer alliance at school, a small group meeting in the library after hours. It was risky, Millfield wasn't San Francisco, but they were inspired by Marla and Diego. The first meeting drew only 3 others. Riley, a trans sophomore they'd met online, Mia, a bisexual junior, and Sam, a quiet senior questioning his identity. Ezra led the discussion, his voice shaky at first. "This is a safe space," he said, echoing Marla's words. "We're here to be ourselves." Riley, still shy, shared their fear of coming out to their parents. Mia talked about hiding her girlfriend from her church. Sam just listened, his eyes wide. Elias jumped in, sharing their San Francisco story, his passion igniting the room. By the end, the group felt like a spark, small but ready to grow. But trouble came fast. The next day, flyers appeared around school, calling the alliance a danger to family values. The principal, Mrs. Holt, called the twins to her office. "I support free expression," she said, her tone cautious. "But this group is stirring things up. Parents are complaining." Elias leaned forward. "They're scared because we're being honest. We're not stopping." Mrs. Holt sighed. "I'm not asking you to stop. Just tone it down." Ezra felt a surge of anger. "Tone down who we are? That's not fair." They left the office defiant but shaken. That night, they called Diego, who was dealing with his own battles in San Francisco. The lawsuit against the community center had escalated, with the Community Values Group demanding an investigation into its funding. "They're trying to bury us," Diego said over video chat. "But we're fighting back. You should too." Inspired, the twins doubled down. They organized a school-wide assembly, pitching it as a diversity discussion to get Mrs. Holt's approval. They invited Riley, Mia, and Sam to speak, and reached out to Marla for advice. She sent them a video message to play, her voice a beacon of strength. "You are enough, and your love is enough." The assembly was tense. Some students listened, others whispered or walked out. But when Riley stood and shared their story, echoing the girl from the San Francisco rally, the room grew quiet. Ezra watched, his heart swelling. This was their mural, their flash mob, a stand for love in a place that needed it. After the assembly, the backlash grew. A group of parents, led by a local pastor, demanded the alliance be shut down. The twins faced glares in the hallways, and someone spray-painted a slur on their locker. Elias wanted to fight, but Ezra held him back. "We can't let them win by making us angry," he said. "We fight smart." They turned to Lila, who connected them with her hospital's legal counsel again. The lawyer helped them draft a letter to the school board, citing their rights to free assembly and expression. The board, under pressure, allowed the alliance to continue, but the victory felt fragile. One evening, as they walked home, a truck slowed beside them. A man leaned out, shouting, "Go back to California, freaks!" Elias flipped him off, but Ezra pulled him away, his heart pounding. "This is why we're doing this," Ezra said. "To make it better." Elias nodded, but his fire was dimming. "I just want to be us, easy, without all this hate." That night, they got a call from Diego. Horizon Tech had doubled its donation to the community center, and Langston had issued a public apology for his company's past ties. "You two pushed him," Diego said. "He's not perfect, but he's trying." Ezra felt a spark of hope, but Elias was skeptical. One good deed doesn't erase everything. As spring turned to summer, the twins kept building their alliance. They organized a pride picnic in a local park, expecting a small turnout. To their shock, dozens showed up, classmates, teachers, even a few parents. Lila brought homemade lemonade, her smile brighter than the sun. Riley performed a poem, their voice stronger now. Mia and her girlfriend held hands openly for the first time. But the picnic wasn't without tension. A small group of protesters stood across the street, silent but watching. Ezra noticed Mr. Grayson among them, his face conflicted. Later, he approached the twins, his voice low. "I was wrong," he said. "You're not just kids. You're changing things." Elias raised an eyebrow. "About time you noticed." Grayson smiled faintly. "Keep going, but be safe." As the picnic ended, Diego surprised them with a visit, having driven from San Francisco with Jamie. He hugged Elias tightly, and Ezra felt that familiar ache. But when Diego pulled him into a hug, too, whispering, "You're the heart of this, Ezra," the ache eased. That night, the twins sat on their porch, the stars bright above Millfield. Elias took Ezra's hand. "We're doing this, aren't we? Making a difference." Ezra nodded, his voice soft. "Yeah, and we're doing it together." Summer in Millfield bloomed with possibility, but for Ezra and Elias, it was a season of balancing hope and hardship. Their queer alliance had grown, with weekly meetings now drawing a dozen students. They'd even started a blog, sharing stories from Millfield and connecting with others online, including Marla and Diego. But the town's resistance hadn't faded. Graffiti appeared on the school's walls, and whispers followed them everywhere. One morning, Lila sat them down, her face serious. "I got a call from the community center's lawyer," she said. "The lawsuit's been dropped. Your flash mob, your voices, it put too much pressure on them." Elias hooped, but Ezra's relief was quieter. "Does that mean Langston's really changed?" Lila shrugged. "People don't change overnight. But you showed him what's at stake." Inspired, the twins planned a bigger event, a pride festival for Millfield, the first of its kind. They worked with Riley, Mia, and Sam, securing a park permit and local sponsors. Mrs. Holt, wary but supportive, agreed to promote it at school. Even Mr. Grayson offered to chaperone, a small gesture that felt huge. The festival took weeks to plan. Elias handled logistics, his energy infectious, while Ezra focused on outreach, writing heartfelt posts to rally support. Diego and Jamie promised to attend, driving from San Francisco to show solidarity. As the date approached, Ezra felt a mix of excitement and dread. What if the protesters ruined it? The night before the festival, Elias found Ezra staring at their blog's latest post, a photo of their San Francisco mural. "You're worried," Elias said, sitting beside him. Ezra nodded. "What if we're pushing too hard? What if someone gets hurt?" Elias took his hand. "We're not alone anymore, Izzy. This town's changing because of us." The festival dawned bright and warm. The park transformed with rainbow banners and booths. Local bands played, food trucks lined the edges, and families mingled with teens. Riley's parents showed up, hesitant but there, a step toward acceptance. Mia's girlfriend, Lauren, danced with her openly, their laughter a small victory. But the protesters came, too, smaller than expected but loud. They stood at the park's edge, signs raised, shouting about sin and tradition. Elias wanted to confront them, but Marla, who'd flown in for the event, held him back. "Let them shout," she said. "Our joy is louder." Diego and Jamie arrived, their presence a spark. Diego unveiled a new painting, a gift for the Alliance. A vibrant scene of the twins leading the festival, their hands linked. "This is your legacy," he said, his eyes on Elias but his smile for both. As the day wore on, the protesters' voices faded, drowned out by music and laughter. Ezra took the stage, his voice steady despite his nerves. "This festival isn't just about pride," he said. "It's about belonging. For me, for my brother, for all of us." The crowd cheered, and Elias joined him, their hands clasped. We started this because we were told to move, to hide, to be less, Elias said. But we're here, and we're not going anywhere. As they stepped down, a familiar figure approached. Langston. He was alone. No suit this time. Just jeans and a hesitant expression. I owe you an apology, he said. I didn't see it before, how my actions hurt people. I'm trying to do better. Elias crossed his arms. Why should we trust you? Langston met his gaze. You shouldn't, not yet. But I'm here and I'm listening. Ezra felt a spark of hope. Keep listening, he said. And maybe we'll talk. Langston nodded, stepping back into the crowd. The twins watched him go, unsure but open. Change was slow, but it was possible. That evening, as the festival wound down, the twins sat with Diego, Jamie, and Marla, watching the sunset. Diego leaned close to Elias, their hands brushing, and Ezra smiled, the ache in his heart softening. He'd feared losing his twin, but love wasn't a zero-sum game. It grew, making room for everyone. Marla raised a glass of lemonade. To you boys, she said. You've built something beautiful. The twins returned to school that fall with new strength. The alliance grew and the town began to shift. Small steps, but real. Mr. Grayson started a diversity training for teachers. Riley's parents joined a support group. Even the pastor who'd protested reached out, asking to understand. As winter approached, the twins planned a return to San Francisco for the holidays, eager to reunite with their chosen family. They called Lila from the airport, her voice crackling with pride. You've changed the world, my boys. Ezra looked at Elias, their hands linked as they boarded the plane. Not the world, he said. Just our corner of it. Elias grinned. For now. Their story wasn't just about two boys who refused to switch seats. It was about love's power to rewrite rules, to build bridges, to make space for everyone. In Millfield, in San Francisco, and beyond, Ezra and Elias Carter were proof that courage and love could change everything.